To Voyage Consulting and Business Solutions After Hours Ask the Experts series. I am Margarita Estrada, COO of Voyage, and I'm here with my colleagues, Tony Blanco, CEO, and Mario Lewis, CFO. Thank you for joining us from the Eastern, Central, Mountain, and Pacific time zones. We are so happy that you are here. Remember to grow your business with Voyage, ignite your career with Voyage, start your voyage when? Today. For value-added content, follow us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel at Start Your Voyage, and follow us on LinkedIn. So today we continue with part 2 of making yourself memorable. Last week we covered being curious, storytelling, consistency, and authenticity. Tonight we bring in additional qualities that will help us be memorable. We're going to start with showcasing our superpowers. Trying to excel at all different things at the same time dilutes you as a person and your talents. Become an expert in one thing first that you could be known for, and then go to something else. For example, my superpowers are creativity and empathy. Everyone tells me that's who I am. This is what I do, and so that is my superpower. Mario, take it from there.
I want to underscore what you're saying, Margarita, because I mean they use the term jack of all trades but master of none. And those are the people who are, they try to divide their time and just be average at a lot of things. And it is hard to excel, to be uniquely successful if you don't focus on trying to build on one specific craft that you can be known for. And that's how you market and separate yourselves from everyone else. So when I think about what my skills are, I have a background in financials. So I've been CFO of here, as well as I have extensive experience in multiple disciplines of finance. So that's a place where I feel comfortable. But my ability to stay calm under pressure. So when you combine that with a person who does financials, you get the best of all worlds. And that truly is a superpower that separates me from anyone else. And especially when I want to deliver value added presentations, I focus in primarily on the financial aspects of that. So that makes it unique. And that is, I don't try to be everything else in the speaking realm or in the coaching realm. So that is my unique and superpower. And I welcome everyone else to think about what is your superpower? What makes you unique and different from everybody else? Find that one thing, build on it, and build your brand around it because it will help you to separate. Darlene, what is your superpower?
Yeah, that is so compelling. And my superpower is strategy, and not just any strategy, strategic communications. That is my superpower. I want to help folks level up, articulate, and help folks understand how they can share all the great work that they're doing and what it means and how you can put that into a strategic roadmap to success. That is what I love to do. I really inspire folks. Communications has always been something that was near and dear to my heart. And I knew that I had to help people because once I figured out how easy it was to figure out A, B, C, put it all together, I was like, "Oh, I have to share this. And what does it mean? There's specialty in this. And the specialty in this is confidence. Let's start with that. That's in the mix. Confidence, overcoming your fears of communicating in a room, in an audience as large as 5, 10, 5,000. You want to be heard. Being able to share and implement and let people know that you have a great idea that needs to be heard and getting everybody all in tune and setting some metrics and milestones, strategic planning. This is my superpower. I absolutely want to dive in tonight into the rest of the content. I want to hear from Margarita. Share your superpower.
Okay, aside from definitely creativity is a big part of who I am, but also energy as well. I'm known for my energy to be able to speak in front of audience and just get them excited and just be into the content, but also I happen to love social media. I happen to love, the advertising and communication realm, and also, most importantly, teaching people how to advocate for themselves. I feel that that's extremely important. I had to learn it the hard way, but guess what? I could teach you how to do it the easy way. It's my superpower. So let's go into creating emotional connections. Perfect segue into this because it's really important to leave a positive impression on those that we meet. And Darlene touched a little bit on that last week when she said that she always thinks about how did people feel when she left their presence,
Yeah.
right? But what did she have to do before that? So let's look at ways that we can make an impact through our smile and other sorts of traits or personality traits that we can acquire. Mario?
I agree with you that when you use energy plus enthusiasm, it results in engagement. And the type of engagement is audience engagement, whether it's an audience of 1 or 1,000. And that's what we're looking to, by using emotion, you are able to connect. So whether it is, you said, like you described, Margaret, using your facial expressions as a tool, your body movement, everything. The moment you step into the room, you are creating a footprint for emotion and energy that the audience receives because they will feed off of you. And as they feed off you, you can then feed off of them. And when you maintain that level of energy, the room will be electric. So by using all those tools, your body language, your movement, making people laugh, using humor, injecting humor into your presentations is a critical way to do it. And one other aspect I would think about is being vulnerable in where you're communicating. We talked last week about being authentic. Part of authenticity is allowing your vulnerability to show. Having the audience connect with you because they can feel the emotional journey that you're on and likely they are on, and you continue to take them on that journey. So those are amazing tools to create emotional connections that will create the energy and enthusiasm, which creates the engagement that we're looking to create every time we step on stage or just talk to another person.
And so Mario, could you repeat that equation again? Is he the math guy?
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's all about that, and that's my superpower.
Repeat that equation again.
Energy plus enthusiasm plus emotion equals engagement.
There we go. Darlene?
Yeah. I love that. And I also, one of the things that I want to touch on slightly here is sometimes we have to think about like what we're doing in the mix, and disconnecting from the task is helpful because a lot of times we can be focused on go, 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 Harry, we got to get there. We got all these things to do. And if we don't take a time out to slow down and say, hey, what's happening on the way there? What do we need to make sure? It's not just about checking boxes. We have to connect with the emotion here. You cannot connect emotion and checking boxes. By the way, this is why the whole AI universe is not connected, right? This is why the humanity piece comes in, because that is exactly the challenge that these robots, AI, and all that stuff have. So what am I saying here? We need to remind ourselves to disconnect from the task, the mission, what the goals are for a moment, and do that pulse check in with what we're how we're feeling, how the folks around us that are working with us are feeling as we're moving forward, because sometimes we need to take a real pause. And I don't think we do it enough because we're so worried about getting to the finish line and having another home run and all the victory laps. We call them those Voyage victory laps. They are phenomenal. We love them. But making sure, we talked a little bit early on in the series, last year, about burnout and all these things. We want to make sure we're conscious of all that. So I think that's an important piece to bring in. Well, we're going to time out for 1 second because I want to give us the official commercial break and say, we want you to do what? To start your voyage when? Today. Become a Voyage Insider. Be a part of our journey. We are here to connect with you, to give you the inside scoop, to help you think about things a little differently, open your mind, and also to apply some of this amazing expertise into your everyday lives. Sending it back to the team.
Thank you, Darlene. And now we get to a section that I absolutely love. Use visual or verbal signatures. So this is extremely interesting. For example, maybe adopting a unique, consistent way of dressing, such as I'm wearing red. Red is my color. I wear it all the time. People know me for it, right?
Mhm.
Develop a catchphrase or a specific way of opening meetings to create a strong, recognizable brand. So, Mario, what kind of visual or verbal signatures do you use?
Wow, that's a great comment because verbal signatures are important. As you develop your brand, you will slide into them. One of the things I use is I always use the term connection, and I have a framework which I present on where I talk frequently about connection. And a lot of the speeches and presentations I give, as I customize it to different audiences, I use the word connect as my mnemonic to deliver those. So connect with humor, connect with emotion, connect with your body, things like that. So that has become the phrase or the catchphrase that I like to use when I'm presenting. That doesn't mean that it's the only thing that I use, but that is what I want. When we talked earlier about what is your superpower, and, and are you known for? When it comes to speaking and delivering my content, I want to be known as the connection guy. So, so, and the as your style evolves, I envision that those you will take on some additional emotional, verbal or visual catchphrases, like the way you dress, your persona. But I guess as you evolve as a speaker, those are things that are consistently developed. But I want to be focused on connection. Darlene, what do you think of when you think about what is your visual and verbal signature?
I think when people think of me, they're always thinking strategy because every
Mhm.
conversation I have always ties back to something about strategy and how are you thinking about things. I'm such a creative head in terms of like when people come to me, especially my entrepreneurs that I work with pretty frequently, and they're trying to identify who their target market is or where they should expand or how.
Mhm.
I think about like what does strategy overall mean? And it has to be something that you infuse in every part of your life. There even there's even a strategy to how I handle house chores. Like everything happens at its time. Like I am the most like I put it in the framework. I have to set it in a timeline. It has to happen. I believe in this. And you know why I believe in this? I believe in this because one of the things that's really apparent for those that are very successful is the piece of consistency that exists. So, everything that we're working on as leaders, trying to further develop, we have to always stay on the game. If we're not on the mission, it doesn't happen. So, as I'm coaching and helping folks look at things differently,
Mhm.
strategy is the main priority.
Yeah.
How can we look things in a different way? What do we need to infuse? What do we need to remove? And honestly, this is a big piece of the way that we utilize our time. And I've spoken about this so much where, we have to learn how to put things on the shelf and
Yeah.
say, no, that's not working. And difficult conversations, how to manage through thinking through competing priorities, how all of this leads into what the end outcome of success looks like. So strategic roadmap, it's all about the game of chess. I love to win. I am a winner. I want everyone to win. So let's help you win too.
So I always say that the outside messaging must reflect the internal truth.
Mhm.
And that is a catchphrase that I use often because it is true. Whatever message you put out there must reflect who you really are. For example, when we use the words grow your business a voyage, ignite your career a voyage, and start your voyage today, this is something that we believe in and that we mean. It is our brand. And so that is the outside messaging that reflects us, the internal truth of who we are and what we want to give to our public. All right, let's go on to the next one. Be present and actively listen. Oh, it says the recording stopped.
Okay.
Okay, I think it says, so be present and actively listen. Listen, put away that cell phone, please, and listen. Mario, expand on that, please.
It's true, and we live in a distracted world. To get people's attention spans are not like they were years ago because of all the tools, devices, and things that we have at our immediate disposal. So, like I think we talked about last week, if you have to represent the item that you want to be. Um, So
Oh, I like that.
if you want to be listened to, it is important that you learn to listen to others and listen attentively, listen with intention, listen with purpose, and it will come back to you. And that is something I knew I wasn't good at years ago. And still always, and there's always room for improvement. So now when it comes to conversations, if I have my cell phone with me, I turn it over so the person can see that I'm not paying attention, I'm not picking it up, I'm not thinking about it, and I'm looking deeply into their eyes and listening for every word, listening for when they're finishing their sentence and their thoughts, their ideas. Then I take a moment to pause, and then once I've thought of something that's in alignment with what the conversation is, then I speak. And that is usually the foundation of listening intently, actively, and also being present in that moment. So I think that's a part of what we're doing here. So I hand it to you, Darlene, to kind of build on that thought.
Yeah, I'd love to build on that because distracted audiences, especially when the audiences are those that really need the messaging, I think that you need to,
Yep.
and that's, I am the funny one. Just try to be. But thinking about this closely, I think about the speaker, the intent, whatever the role you're playing is as the presenter, you need to be thinking ahead of time that your audience will already be distracted. Think
Mhm.
about all the different things that you're competing with, especially for those that may not be interested and maybe just be checking a box to be in your presence at that time.
Yeah.
So I always think about what can I do, strategy,
Mhm.
to identify who's in the room and what would they, get out of the experience of being in that room with me. How can what I'm going to deliver really help satisfy a need that they have? Because I think if I can identify that in the first 30 seconds of me coming in and taking the stage, immediately everyone wants to know more. I'm
Mhm.
going to do the best that I can to cater my messaging and content to my audience and to understand who's in the room and connect with them right away and be able to immediately problem solve and share solutions for things they have on their mind. So if I'm competing with whatever the phone's got going on at that time, they're like, wait, no, hold up, I gotta hear this. I gotta hear this. That's what I'm looking for in my audience. And that's prep work and it's very strategic. You need to think ahead. And by the way, you don't always have the privilege of knowing who's in that audience. So sometimes you just have to use your intuition and make sure you have more than one or two little things that you can, put out up your sleeve.
Can I offer a thought? Just because I just came from a presentation at my daughter's, high school, where they had a keynote speaker, and she started out very strong. She sang a song that got everybody engaged, but what she hadn't realized, again, these are high school, middle school, even some elementary school students were in the audience, and she gave a presentation for the next 30. Remember, these kids were there for about an hour and a half before her keynote, and she got them engaged with the song, but then proceeded to speak for another half an
Oh
hour.
my gosh.
Lost her audience, and it's unfortunate because everything that you just said, Darlene, was she started out great, but then she didn't do the things that you just highlighted, and and she is a skilled speaker. It was clear she's a talented speaker, but again, you have to meet the audience where they are. So I can't emphasize that enough to our audience and listeners. Uh, Understand where you are, and in the middle, and as you're presenting, get that pulse check, get the sense of where they are, and connect with them, and then find a way to, if necessary, close or bring additional energy to the conversation that will keep them hooked. So I hand it to you, Marguerite, to help wrap us up.
Okay. So another important technique to use is to make sure that you're always providing value whenever you speak. You open it with an interesting point and you close with an interesting point, and that's a way that you can maintain either your one-to-one audience or a general audience that you are speaking to. And remember that you cannot beat a firm handshake and maintain that eye contact. at all times. The worst thing that you could have is a weak handshake. That is the worst, unless there is an excuse for it. There are some people who have nerve ending issues. I encountered one person that was like that,
Mhm.
and it was not his fault. It was simply because he had nerve ending issues and he had no choice but to use that kind of handshake. But
Aw.
than that exception, a firm handshake, look at the person straight in the eye and address them by their name. So now we wrap up this series on making yourself memorable. Thank you so much for joining us today. Remember to always grow your business with a voyage, ignite your career with a voyage, and start your voyage when? Today.
Today.
Good night, everybody. Until
Everybody.
next Thursday. Bye now.
Good night.